Coming up on TekThing, Corsair's Rapidfire. Can 1.2 millimeters make all the difference for gaming? Robert Heron has some advice for anybody looking at 4K TVs, one gorgeous widescreen desktop monitor, cheap earbuds, and more. It's all coming up on TekThing. Today's show is brought to you by iFixit, introducing the all-new ProTech Toolkit to give you the compact and complete toolkit for all things DIY. For $5 off your purchase of $10 or more, go to ifixit.com/TekThing and use code TekThing at checkout.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we make technology behave.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
There is a lot of shiny technology on today's show.
Oh my gosh. I was actually very excited about today's show because I finally get to check out your amazing monitor.
Yes. Oh my God. It's curved, it's wide, it's crazy. We'll talk about that in a minute. Right now, though, let us bring in Corsair's latest contribution to gaming keyboard superiority. If you are finding yourself deadlocked in a battle to destroy all comers in your first-person shooter mayhem online, you need to learn about the K70 RGB Rapidfire mechanical keyboard from Corsair. This is not cheap.
No, it's not. So this is the K70 RGB Rapidfire. It was just announced a few days ago. Unbeatable speed, legendary durability. So it's from Corsair. It costs $170. So you're right, it's not cheap.
No, it's not cheap. But it is an extremely well-made keyboard. Corsair's, I would bang this on my head, but you get really upset when I abuse your toys.
You know, I do have some friends who would definitely break keyboards if they didn't win an FPS game.
Well, okay, so
but they'd probably be fine with that.
Yeah, it's actually it's really hard to break your skull with a keyboard.
It's true.
You can't quite see it because our studio lights are so bright.
Awesome B-roll though.
Yeah, you can just kind of see the colors,
yeah,
right?
all full RGB. So this thing has some pretty cool features in it. First off, you'll notice that it's full standard size keyboard and it's mechanical, yay! So it features the all-new Cherry MX Speed RGB mechanical switch. So this is kind of an upgrade from Cherry MX Red, which is the normal ones that you'll see in most keyboards. So this one is called the Speed RGB mechanical switch.
Corsair currently has an exclusive on those keys. And the big deal behind this is that these new switches have a 1.2 millimeter actuation press.
Yeah.
Standard 45 gram operating force. It's pretty typical for a lot of the mechanical keys we've seen, but 1.2 millimeter is shorter.
Yes, it is.
Like 0.7 to 0.9, well, 0.7 or 0.8 shorter than a typical. And that basically means...
So typically you'll find around 2 millimeters of a press to get your key all the way down to actually like summon a response on your computer.
Well, you only got to go about that much.
Yeah, so for this one, you don't have to press very far at all. It's 1.2 millimeters.
Which is pretty great.
It's a really short distance.
And so the idea, right, is if you are the high-speed operator in your first-person shooting lifestyle, Corsair said this is 40% faster than regular Cherry MX Reds.
Yeah, it's also lighter too, so it requires a much lighter press, so you don't have to like press really hard down on your keys. That doesn't have to do necessarily with distance, but the actual weight that you have to put down on those keys to make it actually register the actuation. Oh, this is cool.
One of the things they were very emphatic about pointing out, you'll notice the underside of the key is actually white.
Yeah.
That means it reflects all of the RGB light goodness for your 16.4 billion colors. 16 million colors on this. Every key is individually programmable.
Yep. Every single key, so you can do all sorts of different programming within the Corsair software. It's called CUE. The keys also have 100% anti-ghosting, which means that as you're pressing a bunch of different keys, you can press multiple keys and each one will register, and it can do up to 50 million key presses. It's warranted under like 50 million key presses. That's what they say is the standard durability for this thing.
It's going to last a really long time.
It'll last a long time, yeah. It's got like a 2-year warranty. Aluminum frame, which is really nice. Yeah. I'm very familiar with plastic keyboards, which are fine, but aluminum is a nice upgrade, so it's not plastic. It also has USB 2.0 pass-through on the back, and you'll see a little flash drive plugged in here right now. But it's USB 2.0, which means that on this threaded strand right here, you have 2 USB ports that you need to plug in, not just one. And that's just necessary to give it the USB pass-through and enough power to actually use the keyboard and all the RGB lighting that's included included in here.
It's very tactical. I mean, it's very.
It is. It's very tactical.
I mean, you have this huge heavy cable. The entire cable is wrapped with fabric. I mean, they're trying to give you good build quality in exchange for that $170 price tag. I like the multimedia keys.
I do too. Yeah, it has regular multimedia keys. One of the issues that I've had in past gaming is not being able to lock the Windows key. They have that built in, so you can lock the Windows key and not have it, bring up your start menu or whatever you might worry about while you're playing video games. That's a nice little inclusion. The wrist rest on here, it's a nice soft touch, and it does have the ability to be removed if you don't require a wrist rest. I like it, so I leave it on there, but obviously you can take it off. And they do have accessories keys included for FPS and battle arena games, like online battle arenas. So you'll notice that some of these keys up here, and I got a close-up in B-roll, that they're gray and they're raised on the sides.
Right.
So they have a little bit of a
It's
texture
like a
to them. Yeah, it's kind of cupped, and they have a texture to them to make it easier for you to get friction on those keys and easily press them whenever you're playing like FPS, first-person shooters.
I loved the gray knurled sort of cup keys.
It's great for gaming. Now you had an issue when typing,
So
correct?
yeah, I type. I'm a touch typist. I type really fast.
Yeah.
I kept hitting the wrong key because of those. And it's like, what have I done? And then when I pulled those off and put the regular keys on, fantastic typing experience.
So this keyboard is Windows compatible for all the extra features. They do have an open source community which made Linux drivers available through GitHub, so completely open source. You can read the code if you want to. Haven't tried it on my new Ubuntu Linux PC because I just installed Ubuntu. But it works great on Windows. I was able to use it on my Windows 7 machine, and I also had my husband use it on his Windows 8 machine. No problems whatsoever.
I mean, it's a standard USB keyboard, plug it in, it'll work. If you want to do all the cool stuff,
you have to download the software, and that's compatible with Windows. So in gaming, the shorter presses take a lot of time to get used to because it does feel really different, because you don't have to wait as long to get that registration happening between your thought, your keyboard, and your computer. So it is a little bit different, but I do think that it makes a positive difference. Now this may just be my personal thoughts on it. Obviously it's unscientific data, but that's how I felt whenever I was playing. Like I was playing Call of Duty, and it felt like I was getting more headshots because of the quicker registering of my key presses. And maybe that's just because I'm super slow, or maybe it's because it actually does help to have those shorter key presses. So I enjoyed using it quite a bit. The RGB ripple effect, which is currently going on this keyboard, it's really pretty. It's really, really pretty. I love the full RGB. Kind of distractive whenever you're playing games, though.
Well, you actually, if it was in solid colors, you were good to go with it.
Yeah, it was fine.
If it was
and you can do all solids if you want to.
But the rainbow effect was driving you nuts.
Kind of. It made me almost feel like there was something moving on my desktop, and I'm kind of scared of bugs, so I was like, ah!
But when you went to solid, it didn't bother you at all.
No, it was fine.
It's crazy because you can, and
you can change each one to a specific color if you want to. You don't have to have it do ripple effects or anything like that. You can just do straight up colors.
There's pre-created ones you can download and install. It used to be painful to program one of these keyboards.
But they have
Corsair.
profiles. You can save specific profiles into the Q software and use them on multiple PCs if you want to. You can turn it off for gaming if you want to completely. You do have an option on here to change how bright they are as well, so you can turn down the brightness if it's super.
That while I was using it.
Yeah, it's great. And they have different profile settings that you can set, and all of them have the ability to do different macros. So it has a ton of settings capable in the software, but it only works on Windows unless you choose to go with the open source one for Linux. But I really liked it. I was very impressed, really, really happy with how structured it is, and it feels very durable.
It feels solid. It feels like you can drive
very
10
solid.
streaks with it.
It's hardcore.
Yeah, it is, and it should be for $170.
Yeah.
It did absolutely nothing to improve my Counter-Strike playing because I don't play enough Counter-Strike to
Well,
be
you have to get
improved by
used
that.
to it too.
I had zero issues getting used to it.
Okay,
but
cool.
but I'm also, for somebody with, ridiculous hands and who can swing a 12-pound sledgehammer, I actually am a very delicate touch typist. I'm not a key. I have a lot of friends. Friend of mine, he weighs 160 pounds, soaking wet.
Hard on my keyboards.
Yeah, you're a keyboard. I'm
like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
So since it requires that softer touch, it is a little bit different for me to get used to. But once you do, it's really nice. It's a nice change, and it's something I never thought of for a company to do. So it's really cool that Corsair was thinking about that for the gaming community. So
They're very serious
for
about
me,
the
it's a
gaming
yes. I really liked it. It also came with this amazing little tool, which I've never had before in my life.
If you've never seen a key puller, almost all mechanical keys, you can swap out keys. And that's how you swap out.
Freaking awesome.
But don't try to jam the key back on with this. Take the key out.
Yeah, take it out.
And then press the key on.
Which is very easy with your fingers.
Except when you're trying to do it on camera and suddenly nothing works.
So let us know what you guys like. I love hearing about gaming keyboards and other gaming accessories. Love playing my own PC games at home, so I'm always looking for like the best of the best.
And Shannon's gaming more too.
Yeah!
We should start like weekly Counter-Strike festivals.
We could. I'm Snubsy on Steam if you guys are looking.
I'm Slam Dance 13.
Yay.
Yay. You've seen us use their tools on the show. You've heard us talk about them. And now we want to give a shout out to iFixit.com as a sponsor and your complete DIY electronics repair solution, from their 19,000 free step-by-step repair guides to their huge inventory of replacement parts and tools with lifetime warranty. iFixit has got your repair needs covered. They want you to fix stuff when it breaks, people. That saves you money. And today we're talking about their latest and greatest, the all-new ProTek Toolkit. It is gorgeous, people. Completely reimagined design, but just as rugged, portable, and powerful as before. Probably more rugged, easier to use, and the tools are easier to access. It includes a new 64-bit driver kit, which replaced the former 54-bit driver kit, a more durable case, and magnets. The 64-bit kit itself is held to the tool roll using magnets, as is its cover. It's easier to use, it's longer lasting, and some people even think it's cooler. More bits means fewer repair roadblocks, and the newly redesigned swivel top precision driver is sweet. This is a nice piece of engineering, people. This flex extension is still there for those hard to reach screws in the corner of your cases. Precision ESD safe tweezers, including a pair of reverse tweezers, a wider variety of plastic opening tools and picks to safely work on tablets and smartphones, a suction cup for display, assembly removal, metal spudger, and iFixit's own rubber-handled Jimmy Pry bar tool, which is really nice. And hey, if you're old school, there's an ESD safety strap to make sure you don't destroy your job with static shock. And what's the best part? It's backed by iFixit's lifetime warranty. Buy it because it's awesome, or don't. You still get free access to all the free repair resources on iFixit.com. They are amazing. Hey, do yourself a favor, grab an all-new ProTek Toolkit and make repair behave, people. Just head over to iFixit.com/TekThing. Use the code TEKTHING. That's TekThing when you check out. You'll save $5. Thanks, iFixit. My partner in crime on AVXL and former partner in crime on Tekzilla, AC Nation, DLTV, and other places. Usually after midnight, Robert Heron's joining us.
Hey,
dude, let's
thank
talk.
you.
It's good to have you back.
It is a pleasure to be here.
This is exciting. 4K UHD. I love it for desktop monitors. I think we both remain unconvinced about whether it's time to move 4K UHD or to go from 1080p to 4K in your living room.
I really pay very little attention to resolution on the screen.
But it's 4 times as many pixels. 4 times as many pixels. I need 4 times as many pixels.
Yes, and maybe in another year or two we'll have another 4 times as many pixels. I really just say you want to really focus on more of the environment you're going to be in, first of all. So that would include things like how big of a screen will fit in that space. What would be your ideal size as far as a screen size goes? Don't worry about the resolution. Just stick to the best fit for that room. And then beyond that, stick to your budget. At certain screen sizes, you're going to be dealing with 4K screens no matter what.
Right.
Above a certain size, generally speaking, everything's kind of made that move to 4K, and I'd rather you just focus on getting the largest screen size possible in addition to having it fit your budget.
Right.
And then, you know what? With the new stuff coming up related to 4K.
So let's step back for a second, right? Most people when they're buying the HDTV, a lot of us, especially the older you are, you tend to think like, well, a 37-inch television was huge. I just need that 42-inch, right? If you're sitting 8 or 9 feet from an HD TV,
yeah.
55 inches, 65 inches is fantastic.
Totally.
If you're thinking about like, I want that 72-inch TV, oh my goodness, there's an 83-inch Sharp TV or whatever that monster they have is at Costco, don't. Like once you get much above like 65 inches on an HD TV, get a projector. and get a projector screen.
If you have the room set up for that. One thing the LCDs do really well is they dump a lot of light out, and they can deal with a brightly lit room better. But you're right. For the best big screen value, I mean, there is nothing better than a nice projection setup. So that's a good point.
If you have the apartment in Miami with the big wall of glass, all of a sudden LCD is probably your best option, or unless you have $1 billion for a projector. So UHD or 4K, meh. HDR, HDR is a totally different story, which basically means more colors, more contrast, deeper blacks, more detail in the bright sections, more detail in the dark sections.
Totally. Two aspects that tie into the 4K formats and the new TVs will be that expanded color palette. The colors can be way more saturated now, and there's content to actually take advantage of that.
Right.
And on top of that, like you mentioned, the wide dynamic range or high dynamic range, being able to have pinpoint highlights of anything from like a star field to sun glistening off of chrome and things like that. Those can be more realistically represented on screen now. Now that requires not only a TV capable of it, but also content to drive that as well.
On the upside, Blu-ray or UHD, UHD Blu-ray is out. Netflix has been streaming for like 2 or 3 weeks, I think.
Doing high dynamic range, and eventually.
Yeah, well, okay, so they've got Marco Polo's in high dynamic range. The new season of The Flash is going to be high dynamic range. What's kind of cruel about this, there's like 2 different versions of HDR. There's HDR-10, which is found on the Blu-rays, and there's Dolby Vision, which is found in a lot of other places. Netflix, fortunately, is streaming with both HDR-10 and Dolby. The Blu-rays are HDR-10.
Amazon's currently only HDR-10 as well.
Okay.
So, but that's the nice thing about app streaming, at least, is as long as you have the supported app built into the TV, you pretty much don't have to worry about any of those formats.
Okay.
When it comes to the new ultra high def Blu-ray players, though, that's where you have to have HDR-10 support. Whereas, say you just purchased one of the new Vizio P or M series TVs for 2016. They will be adding HDR-10 support, but as it ships right now and as it stands right now, that isn't available.
Okay.
So you're an early adopter on with certain hardware. You just have to be aware of how things play together. Everything's still using standard HDMI cables, standard connections, but it's those format support and having that format support that will either give you the complete experience or currently a partial experience as far as ultra high definition viewing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like Voodoo, MGO, New Leon, just 4K sports streaming.
New Lion, baby.
New Lion.
Yeah, no, they are on Sony and Samsung TVs this year. They're already doing test previews of live sports streaming in 4K. So that is just another option for folks who are like, great, I can look at a movie or something that's pre-produced, but what about live content in 4K? And we've seen motion from like the folks at DirecTV making partnerships with MLB for baseball.
Right.
For their clientele, you have to have their hardware in their ecosystem. But for stuff like New Lion, hopefully, I'm really hoping that more content owners will be able to stream through services like theirs to provide owners with an app built into the TV that can get them live content.
Right.
It's that live aspect I want to see addressed.
I mean, the upside, the one nice thing is 1080p content will scale nicely on almost all 4K TVs if they're doing their job right. One of the downsides is most HDR-ready HDR-ready UHD TVs or 4K TVs. We're talking for the vast majority of them, $4,000 and up.
For the cost?
Yeah.
You can get HDR TVs, at very affordable. It depends what level of performance you're looking to get. Generally speaking, the more expensive TVs are going to be the ones that, on the LCD side, that produce the greatest light output. Currently, last year, everyone was like, oh, we're going to reach 1,000 nits, a relative measurement.
Really bright.
About 3 or 4 times what older LCDs were capable of putting out in peak light output. Now we're looking at the latest 2016 TVs hitting 13, 14, 1500 nits. There's going to be a small arms race there for a while in terms of getting more light output. But the OLED guys are kind of on the other path. They're limited in their absolute brightness output, but at the same time they can do inky dark black. So you're going to end up with a very contrasted picture on either technology display type. But I think if you're looking for absolute brightness, it's going to be LCD for a little while.
Okay, so if you don't want to spend like $8,000,
totally,
on the latest top of the line Samsung or LG HD TV, who's out there that's offering something in the $2,000 range?
Vizio's always one to go back toward, specifically their new P series. They have not only a full array local dimming system that provides exceptional brightness And it also has Dolby Vision support built right in,
Okay.
Using services like Vudu or others that supply video content that way.
So Dolby Vision requires a chipset.
It does.
The HDR-10 does not require a chipset, but
Well,
for P series, we're hoping Vizio has an firmware update for the P series. It delivers HDR-10 sometime soon.
They were saying at launch within 3 months. So
Okay.
it's been about a month now, so I'm going to give them another 60 days to get that update out. I know there are a lot of people waiting on that.
Are you confused yet? Is it irritating?
No.
It should be.
No. Take your time.
Right.
Take your time and purchase appropriately.
I think for both of us, it's like if you don't have, for example, if you're like, well, I'm going to buy a projector and I'm going to have it for the next 10 years. If you want 4K with HDR on a projector, you're looking at spending 10 grand right now. That's a lot of money. You may be looking at spending 3 grand by this time next year on a 4K, HDR ready projector. So stay 1080p on most projectors right now.
Consider though pricing on that as well.
Right.
2 years ago, a 4K projector, not HDR, not wide color gamut, about 25 grand. An affordable one.
Okay.
Now we're getting down to 10 grand. So it's like, as with everything, the prices do get better and there'll be more options available.
Where do we find more Robert Heron?
You can look me up at heronfidelity.com.
There's also a weekly audio podcast we do called AVXL if you're into the home theater thing.
That too, and Twitter.
And Twitter.
And email.
At Robert Heron, at Patrick Norton, at AVXL, at TekThing. Snubs! Snubs is on Twitter too. Did you know Snubs was on Twitter? Hey, if you've got home theater questions, fire them out. Email ask@tekthing.com. Thank you so much.
Hey, my pleasure, brother.
He was here.
Yeah.
In the flesh.
Okay, before everybody out there freaks out because this gigantic thing just appeared on set, can we just talk for a moment about how everybody was geeking out here at the warehouse about this thing?
Lewd and lascivious gestures were made in the direction of Dell's U3415W UltraSharp 34 Curved Ultrawide Monitor. Okay, so this is interesting, right? Snubs and I work here in the hack house, the warehouse, where they do a lot of programming for things like Wi-Fi pineapples.
Lots of programming.
And Sebastian saw this.
Yes, he
and
did.
Freaked and immediately he's German, so he's like, can I? I can't do Sebastian's accent. If I try to do it, he'll be really upset. But he immediately ran in and split the monitor into thirds and was like, "This is perfect. This is perfect for my workflow."
Oh yeah.
This came out last year. It's a 34-inch, 21:9 monitor. I think technically it's 3,440 by 1,440 pixels.
Okay.
Which technically, I think the aspect ratio is actually 43 by 18 or 2.38 to 1. Woo,
Oh, that is
movies.
weird.
But 21:9 is pretty much what it is.
Okay.
Darren also was just like, oh, can I plug my laptop into it? He ended up swapping his triple 1080p rig for a pair of Dell UltraSharp 4K monitors. More on that in a second. But Sebastian was really obsessed with laying 3 windows in portrait mode across the 3415W. It's curved, which is more of, I feel curved monitors, whether you're talking about $25,000 4K UHD monitors or desktop monitors, is mostly a gimmick because you're so close to it. I didn't really feel it made that much of a difference, but I suppose it does give you a little bit of an enveloping feel. Whatever.
I guess since it's wider, it helps with your perception.
In theory,
Maybe.
because the pixels are all the same distance from your face, I don't feel curved monitors make much of a difference in the living room or on your desktop, but I did really, really like, the fact that it's super wide.
Yeah.
It's an UltraSharp monitor from Dell, so it's like 300 nits, which is not quite stupid bright, but is bright enough for a well-lit office.
Yeah.
Excellent color. Something we've been noticing a lot lately is monitor stands that have one
it
position.
has a swivel.
Yeah, well, as silly as that sounds, when you buy a monitor and you get it out of the box and you realize you can't adjust the height, that is incredibly irritating.
Yes, it is.
And then you go to Dell Amazon and buy a monitor arm, but we'll talk about that in a couple weeks. Excellent color, ton of adjustments. In terms of calibrating it and stuff. 3440 by 1440 is a little wonky with the Windows 10
I was wondering
keys.
about that.
Yeah, because when you do Windows arrow, Windows arrow up, right? So in that sense, you end up, or maybe 4 wide windows is perfect for your workflow.
So normally, it's for anybody that's not on Windows
Right.
out there, it's supposed to separate
Yeah.
2 different windows on one side and
Yeah.
the other for your computer.
Like the left half of the screen, the right half of the screen, the upper left corner, the lower left corner.
Right,
I love it. I'm
exactly.
using that all the time. With this monitor, I really want thirds, not halves. I want
That would
1,
make sense.
2, 3. But I forgot about that as soon as I fired up Steam and got my gaming going. This is more monitor than a WQHD 2560 by 1440 monitor.
Yeah.
It's not as difficult to drive GPU-wise as a 4K monitor for 3D gaming. It's very nice. Gorgeous colors. Really, the backlighting is super even. It's everything you want from an UltraSharp.
Cool.
It's also $1,000 from Dell, which is a lot less than a 32-inch 4K monitor of comparable glass quality, but a lot more than a typical QHD panel. That said, you can buy it from like B&H Photo for $750.
Wow.
So shop around.
Okay. There are sales.
Yeah, well, I spent most of a big chunk of 2014 on a 32-inch 4K monitor, which is like a $2,500 monitor, and it ruined me for 1080p monitors. Right? So that's why I'm using a 2560 by 1440 monitor, because I can actually afford one of those. This is a nice step up towards 4K. And it is, it's a Dell UltraSharp. The quality is outstanding. This is pretty luxurious. If you're looking for something to upgrade, especially for gaming, really, really, really liked it.
Cool.
It's also funny, a quick note from Darren's upgrade. Now that he's gotten the monitors, he would have liked to have gotten the 32-inch 4K monitors instead of the pair of 27-inch 4K monitors, because they're pretty dense in terms of 4K.
Well, when you have a 27-inch monitor and you're going for 4K resolution,
that's a lot of pixels.
It's going to be very small.
It's
going to be hard to see,
pardon
literally.
me while I pull this off here, hopefully without dropping anything.
So do you think for him 32-inch monitors would have been better, or something larger?
Yes, but they would have
27?
cost twice as much.
That's true.
And it's funny because he also has been blown away by basically the sheer amount of megapixels of desktop real estate he has now. Versus 3 monitors. Going to 2 monitors yielded him like 2.5 times as much virtual real estate on his desktop. It's like not virtual desktops, but the number of pixels there. So
I am still on 1080 monitors at home, and that is my gaming rig. And currently, the larger monitors, and especially that, are out of my price range. I've never spent more than like $200 or $250 on a monitor.
You can get a nice entry-level QHD 2560 by 1440 monitor for probably $400 right now from reputable manufacturers. If you want something that's the higher quality glass, you get into that $500 to $750 range. If you're curious, by the way, about adaptive sync or G-Sync monitors for gaming, email us and we'll do a segment on them, ask@tekthing.com. Which reminds me.
Oh boy, you just have all sorts of goodies down here today.
Yes, it is a day of goodies.
Wow.
We've been getting questions about deals on and off since we launched TekThings. As the coupon queen herself will tell you, one of the things to watch out for is sales.
Yes.
Seriously.
So this guy,
look at that.
This guy is called the Dell XPS 8900 Special Edition, correct?
Right. This is essentially their VR-ready rig for the Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. It's also a really sweet gaming rig and didn't hiccup once powering that U3415. It's good to go for VR rigs too because it has all of the basic. It's the basic specs for a VR rig.
Can you upgrade different parts if you want to?
You can. You're going to have to dig around Dell's website.
Yeah, of course.
This is currently configured with a Core i5-6400, 8 gigabytes of DDR4 2133, a GTX 970, a terabyte 7200 RPM hard drive, a DVD-RW, a keyboard and mouse.
Wow.
And it's. The one thing I would probably change, and you can actually get that upgrade, they do one version of it that has like a 32 gigabyte SSD and a 2 terabyte drive for like $80 more. Every time I go to a desktop with a standard rotating hard drive, things seem to take forever to load because most of my systems now have SSDs. Building this yourself is easily over $1,300 after the rebates kick in.
Wow.
That doesn't include Dell's warranty or not having to build it yourself. I know you're a DIY kind of person, but it turns out a lot of you want something that works out of the box or just don't have a half day. Or it's not even the half day of building a PC.
Right.
It's the 3 weeks you spend like looking for the deals on all of the parts.
It takes a while, and you have to make sure everything is compatible.
Yeah, PC Part Picker is amazing. Dell's price for this is $1,200. Which is good, right?
Yeah.
So it's like $100 less than the parts you buy yourself. It's $200 off if you buy it with an Oculus Rift, and they've had coupon codes up now that are $100 off.
Wow.
And they've had sales like on President's Day weekend. They did a $200 discount, so it was under $1,000.
Wow.
We've said it before,
That's impressive.
especially around Black Friday. Know what you want, know what it costs, and then poach it. Snipe it like you're sitting on eBay at 4 in the morning, counting 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, purchase, 3, 2. Don't wait till the last 2 seconds.
Yes, I completely agree on sale prices. Does this come with any accessories?
It comes with a mouse, it comes with a keyboard, it comes with Windows 10.
Okay.
Like I said, a GeForce GTX 970. Oh, and actually, you know, all the SD card readers you could ever want.
Oh, that's nice.
You know, if you're into that. Yeah, no, and also the U3415W, that monitor, has just about every freaking pass. Like, it has all of the ports, it has all of the USB, and something I didn't realize until right before we went on the show, you can actually use it with 2 systems. It works as like a KVM, so you can share the monitor across 2 different systems and use the same keyboard and mouse.
What?
So, you know, for $750.
It's like Synergy, but in RL?
Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of, it's nice to watch things get better as time goes by. Look at me, I'm all enthusiastic about technology. I must be on drugs.
I love the idea of being able to use 2 OSs with 1 mouse and keyboard.
I'm just sad that I'm going to have to send that monitor back.
Virtual machines, oh my gosh.
Well, it's funny, like 4K monitors for gaming, there's just not enough 4K content really out there.
Yeah.
I personally feel.
It's getting bigger.
Yes. 4K monitors, if you work with a bunch of simultaneous open windows, 4K monitors are amazing in terms of how they impact your workflow and the ability to work with multiple windows simultaneously, especially if you're a programmer. I'm going to stop talking now because I'm really excited about monitors.
Let us know what you guys think. You can always email us, ask@tekthing.com, or you can tweet us at TekThing, at Patrick Norton, and at Snubs.
I found it. Hey everybody, if you're a patron at patreon.com/TekThing, our latest patron build is up, and you should go check it out and let us know what you think. Ask at tekthing.com. And Shannon brings you news of sadness and pain.
I do. Where's my phone? So this is kind of weird. That's the test phone. Let's see. Let me see if I can get this to do it. So my Nexus 6P, I told you guys that I had no issues with it, and I got some people with concerns saying like, oh, well, you know, the glass on the lens breaks and stuff like that. Like, have you had any of these issues? No, I haven't.
Right.
I had a very strange issue, which happened on Saturday though. I brought this to a convention, didn't drop it or anything. It's in great quality still, it's in perfect condition, no water spills or anything, but the camera, just the rear camera, is now completely blurry. So if I try to focus on anything, it's blurry. It's kind of hard to see on
I'm
here.
holding
But
my ear up because it was making a little noise
Yeah,
every
like,
time you tried to focus.
I'll take a picture and I'll show you that on the B-roll, and it's really blurry. And when I try to open the camera, and let's see if I can let you hear this over the mic. Hopefully you heard that click. I'll do it one more time.
Don't take a picture right there.
No. So that click is some kind of mechanical issue with the camera on the inside of this. Luckily,
So
it's under warranty.
It's a mechanical focus?
It's a mechanical focus, apparently.
Okay.
And apparently something happened to it over the weekend, and it no longer focuses on anything on the rear camera.
Are they going to repair it or replace it?
They are replacing it. So
Okay.
they are sending me a new one. It's supposed to come in today. It's a refurbished new one. So yeah, I'm not huge on refurbished ones, but at least they're replacing it for me.
That's pretty much the way it's done these days.
Yeah, so it's still under warranty since I got it in September. I just wanted to share my little experience for you guys because I told you that I would. I also have a couple of things to mention before we end the show with a few feedback questions from you guys. First off, just a reminder, I'm going to be having a meetup in Tokyo, Japan. I believe this place is going to change, so keep an eye on snubsy.com/blog for updates. Either way, it's going to happen 8 to 11 p.m. on May 23rd. RSVP so that I can make sure to make reservations for everybody. Also, Hack 5. So if you guys are familiar with Diamond Club,
Yes.
which you probably are. If you aren't, Diamond Club is awesome. Go you guys. So Diamond Club is trying to get Hack 5 nominated for a technology award in
That's
the
awesome.
podcast awards. So if you're interested in helping us get nominated, nominations are through the 30th. You can go over to hat.t2.t2 or hat.t2t2.eu to find out all the information and see all the shows that they're trying to get nominated.
Nice.
And podcastawards.com. Registrations close April 30th, and you can just go down to the technology section and nominate Hack 5 if you're interested. Yeah, so we're going for it. We'll see what happens. You know, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it'd be kind of cool since Hack 5 has been on TVs for 10 years. Or internets for 10 years.
The internet TVs.
So moving on, we got a tweet, and this one is from Joel. Joel writes, at Patrick Norton, just asking, what are your thoughts on the new Monoprice dual driver earbuds? What are your thoughts, Patrick?
Well, it's, I hadn't heard about these ones. First of all, I need to track down a Monoprice PR person because we get a lot of questions about some of their products and we can't afford to buy them all out of pocket. Monoprice has done some great things with cheap headphones. These are $20. I say buy them. And then if they don't work, return them. They had like an $8 pair of earbuds that sounded really good.
Wow.
Not fantastic, but for $8, like, if you have the teenage child that keeps destroying earbuds, get them on the $8 earbuds. By the way, we're going to have a look at some great $100 to $150 earbuds coming up in a couple, 3 weeks.
Awesome.
It is phenomenal how good something can sound for $100.
Yay!
I just want to say that right now.
And we also got an email from Jeffrey at ask@tekthing.com. Jeffrey said, just saw episode 67 and I would recommend Treseret. It offers all the security and paranoia you could ask for. Thank you, Jeffrey. And you can find Treseret over at treseret.com. And they do have a zero knowledge policy. There's no warrant canary that I could find on their website. This is online cloud storage.
Oh.
Yeah. Very, very cool. So stay safe in the cloud. So this would be a competitor to Spider Oak, I would say. Thank you so much for the recommendation. Really, really appreciate recommendations. Love it when you guys send those our way. It's awesome to see what everybody else is seeing out there. So
there are tens of thousands of you and 2 of us.
Exactly.
If we all work together, everything will be amazing.
Oh man, this was a full show.
Yes.
But remember, and since you just got like a pile on of tech, once in a while, put down the phone, step away from your screen, close the laptop, and do something analog, like go to an art walk.
An art walk?
Yeah, art walks. They're pretty cool. It's where a bunch of different companies or a bunch of different art museums maybe will go out, even like what are they called? Indie artists.
Okay.
Indie artists a lot of times will come out to art walks and they'll set up on the sidewalks in like a downtown. Yeah, it happens all across the U.S. I don't know if it happens.
You're not talking about the people that are selling the paint by numbers kits like in tourist trap towns.
I'm talking about like people who are artists by trade. They'll go out and they'll set up on the sidewalks. There might be some live music playing. There might be cafes open late. And you can go down there, you can buy art, you can browse, you can learn about local artists and support people locally. It's a really fun thing to do and it's a way to meet your neighbors.
Oh my goodness, I want to start actually. Somebody used to do one in New York City was figuring out like sculptures that people didn't know about but were still publicly accessible.
Cool.
It's a very big thing in New York. There's a lot of publicly accessible space that the building owners don't necessarily let you know about.
That's awesome.
Yes. It's like urban exploring light without the possibility of being arrested. I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing.
So right before I moved to San Francisco, I hung out with Dave Randolph, and he took me to some random like private owner's house, but in front he had built an R2-D2.
Nice.
In the East Bay. So I got to take pictures with R2-D2 in front of some random guy's house. He was like, no, check it out, it's great. He built it from scratch. Okay.
Well, it's like the Yoda sculpture at, have you seen the Yoda sculpture?
I haven't. I need to though. Where's it at?
It's in the Presidio. It's a really nice sculpture of Yoda. Because Yoda.
Thank you everybody for supporting the show.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I forgot the camera was still rolling. So embarrassed. I like to thank you too.
Embarrassed.
Uh-oh. I think we need a longer cord.
Maybe.
And then I had a stroke on camera. That would be just awful.
This thing is really pretty. I want to touch it.